Hello YouTube, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I've always wanted to do YouTube pretty much ever since I was a kid. I thought I'd go ahead and get started. They always say that the best time to start YouTube is the present, like just start now. And for the first time, I kind of feel like I have the confidence and willingness to do this and actually upload and record. And I know like kind of a general idea of what I want to talk about and present. So today, for my first video, I thought for a little while, I'm going to just start out with easy stuff to get the practice of talking to a mic and knowing what I'm going to say and editing and uploading. For this first video, I'm just going to rank the movies that I saw in theaters this year. Everyone does their like top 10 list of films they've seen, but I just wanted to do like specifically the movies I saw in theaters. So sorry to movies like The Irishman or Marriage Story, which I didn't see in theaters. There's also a lot of movies missing from this list that I wanted to see in theaters, and I might have ended up seeing, or I didn't make it yet, or I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, you can judge me for the movies I chose and missed out on, but hope you enjoy. Number 9 is Us by Jordan Peele. I really like the aesthetic and the tone of the entire film. I thought it was very satisfying. The dual performances were all very impressive, particularly the lead actress. I'm gonna try to pronounce her name, Lupita Nyong'o. I should have probably looked that up beforehand, but not going to change that now. The themes were interesting and I felt like relevant, highlighting like two modern sides to America. But I thought the movie failed to suspend my disbelief. I couldn't buy into the world. I had too many questions throughout it, like where did I get that the monsters came from an experiment, but like I would have liked a little bit more relevance to that in terms of the plot. I couldn't buy into the villain because with all the other families and all the other tethered doppelgangers, they were being killed, like killing the original people instantly. But with the main family, they literally just like sit them down in the living room and tell them their evil scheme. Like I couldn't buy into the monsters of the movie. I thought there was a lot of interesting ideas Jordan Peele had. I thought he was trying to do too much, but it just like ultimately did nothing. There's by far like my biggest disappointment of the year because it was the first film I saw of the year and I was the most hyped for it. And I remember when I saw it, I wasn't that disappointed when I saw it, but every time I've rewatched it, I get a little bit more disappointing because I really wanted to like this movie. I really wanted it to be good because there's so much good stuff about it, but ultimately it just doesn't work for me. Number 8 is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. There was a lot of stuff I liked about this movie. I felt like it's getting worse of a rap than it deserves. I really like that we finally got to see the three main characters, Finn, Rey, and Poe, on an adventure together. I didn't hate Finn in this one. He didn't annoy me. In the past movies, I really just hated his character. C-3PO in this one is like the best C-3PO's been in any film yet, and I'll literally watch it again just as like C-3PO in this. Things I disliked about it was the general plot of the movie. It felt like we need to go get this MacGuffin so we can go get this other MacGuffin, and it just all ended up meaning nothing. The fact that it wasn't even trying to hide the fact that it wanted to please fans. Like, I get fan service is a part of Star Wars at this point, but it wasn't even subtle about it. And I think the biggest offender was when Maz, I think her name is, gives Chewie a medal, and it's like, okay. In general, I don't think Star Wars films have ever been as great as the mythology within them. I don't need Star Wars films to make sense or be great pieces, make perfect sense or be great pieces of cinematic art. All I really want is interesting characters that are fun to watch, and I feel like this movie does that. Star Wars is bigger than any one film, and even though The Rise of Skywalker is deeply flawed, there's nothing that was particularly offensive to me. Out of the entire Star Wars Skywalker saga, I'd say this is like number 7 out of 9, ahead of episodes 1 and 2. Number 7 is Ad Astra. Now, this movie I've only seen once when I was in theaters, but I was very conflicted at the time about how I felt about it. There was a lot of stuff I liked. First off, obviously, Brad Pitt's performance was amazing. It was kind of a different role than what I'm used to from him, and I thought he did a good job as a cold and calculating character. I found there was a lot of Christian symbolism and themes of like the son suffering the consequences of the father that I found kind of interesting that were included in a sci-fi film. The movie kind of offended me in a sense that it was a sci-fi film that felt ultimately anti-space travel. My favorite sci-fi films are like movies that are kind of uplifting and encouraging in terms of like scientific discovery and like reaching the stars. The title was literally Ad Astra, and I felt like it was almost offensive to like the whole idea of reaching the stars. This is definitely going to be one that I have to rewatch because of, honestly, I was just really interested in the Christian themes. I don't know why. I felt like there was a lot there. It was just very like apparent, but not trying to hit you over the head with it. Thought they were interesting. Ultimately, because I've only seen this once, I don't know how I'll feel about it down the line. I kind of feel like it's going to be a forgettable sci-fi. There's good stuff in it, but I felt like that a lot of the action scenes were very forced. Moon pirates and space apes just seemed out of place in this film. Number 6 is Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep never stood a chance, I think. I had huge hopes for Doctor Sleep because I love The Haunting of Hill House, which also was done by Mike Flanagan. And The Shining is one of my all-time favorite movies in general. So this movie was never going to meet my expectations. I've only seen this once, so it's one I'm going to have to rewatch. I kind of feel like it called back to the film of The Shining too much. Like, not just the book The Shining. Like, I know it's a sequel to the story, but it had too many references to the film specifically, but it never felt like it was in the same spirit of a Stanley Kubrick film. Like, it was very, very much a Mike Flanagan production. So I felt like it was kind of split in nature in the sense that, like, yes, it wanted to remind you of the film The Shining, but it never tried to be a spiritual sequel. It was stuck somewhere in between being a sequel and being its own thing. I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this one. We'll see how I feel about it after. Number 5 is a movie I've seen the most recently and have only seen once, but I've really liked it. I really loved it. Uncut Gems. Just, I don't even know what I can say about this movie right now. It kind of blew me out of the water. Anxiety, like pure anxiety from start to finish. Adam Sandler is incredible. This makes me want to see like so much more of Adam Sandler, and like it makes me so depressed that the past like 10 years of Adam Sandler's career have been pointless in my opinion. Like I'm never gonna watch anything pretty much after Click. So I really like to see this. I loved Adam Sandler growing up, but I would like to see him do some serious acting because he was very, very good in this. The only thing I can really think about I disliked about it isn't even like a criticism, but it just hurt me emotionally. The ending. It really hit me. But that's not even a bad thing. It made me feel something, so I can't even criticize it for that. Number 4 is a movie that I'm really curious how I'll feel way down the line because I really, really liked this movie when I saw it in theaters. I liked it when I just watched it recently, streamed it. I just don't know where it holds up in the Tarantino filmography. And obviously I'm talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was really, really fun movie. Like, I enjoyed just pretty much spending time with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters in this. I thought it was really impressive how like held back Tarantino was. He didn't just, with considering the subject matter of the Sharon Tate case, he could have just gone all out. But it was very much more so his love of Hollywood than it was his capitalizing on a horrible moment. There was definitely some things I didn't care for. Like, I don't think this is not one of my favorite Tarantino movies. It's not even in my top 3. I thought there was some awkward cutting during conversations with I forgot the guy's name from he was in Hitman. But his conversations with him and Leonardo DiCaprio, it was like they cut stuff out and then just worked with what they had, because it was literally like smashed cut again, like within a conversation, like it just chunks are missing. I also didn't care for the weird like Dutch angles. Like, sometimes the Dutch angles made sense, like when Brad Pitt is at the ranch, at the movie studio lot place thingy where the hippies are living. That it made sense because there was like an intense scene. But then there's the scene where Sharon Tate is going to the theaters talking to the ticket window lady, and they just include like throw in some Dutch angles to like give you anxiety for no reason. It seems like I don't get why there was constant Dutch angles. The main thing that honestly bothered me was the handling of Bruce Lee in this. I do think that it was done poorly. Like, I understand what Tarantino was trying to do with making Cliff Booth like this badass that can hold his own against a legendary martial artist, but it was poorly done and it just felt disrespectful. Yeah. Number 3 is Midsommar. This movie had my favorite depiction of an on-screen cult I've ever seen. They just are genuinely terrifying. Like, there's no cheesy audio cues that hint at their like true intentions. They're never framed in a manner that makes them seem malicious. Like, they seem so genuine and like wanting to share their culture with these strangers that you really don't suspect, you don't see coming what happens, even though you know what's going to happen. The only thing I disliked about this movie is the fact that the extended edition was only released through Apple, because I already paid for it on Amazon, and now I'm going to have to pay for it twice. Number 2 is Joker. This movie was very controversial. Some people considered it one of the greatest pieces of cinematic art they've ever seen, and some people considered it like just overrated and pointless, and ultimately was getting at nothing. But I thought it was incredible. I think the Joker has his roots in cinema. I mean, the Joker was based on a character from film, The Man Who Laughs, and I think that this film is perfect in spirit, that it recycles a bunch of past films to make something new. The only thing I really didn't like about this film was Joker's rant to Robert De Niro's character at the end. I felt like they could have had something a little bit more in spirit with like him evolving rather than him just being angry. But this definitely was an incredible film experience. I mean, I was blown away by this movie. Before I get to my number 1, I have a bonus spot. I saw The Shining in theaters this year. As I said, The Shining is one of my favorite films of all time, and I saw it leading into Doctor Sleep like a week before it. Seeing it in theaters was incredible. The music, just everything about it, it was a great experience. I was with a friend that was seeing it for the first time, and he loved it, so It was a great experience. If that movie came out this year, it would still be my number one movie probably of the year. But my number one film is Avengers Endgame. I don't even think this is necessarily the best like just film in and of itself that released this year, but it's just such a big event, and I think it was so impressive how well done it was, considering how easily it could have been done poorly. I mean, just the number of threads and beats and things they had to hit in this movie from past movies and wrap things up for it to still make sense and still be fun and still be interesting is incredible. I think this is the greatest Marvel movie there is. I think this is the greatest cinematic event that's happened ever, honestly, probably. And I think I can't even imagine what will beat it. I mean, maybe Avengers 5, but I honestly doubt it. I don't think we'll ever see the insane moment in cinema that this movie was. Alright, and that was my list. Thank you for checking out my video. Hopefully I will have more coming soon. If you could, just go ahead and leave a like and comment. Those help. And appreciate it. Peace.